speak to you.
Hi, Osama.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you. So what we're going to do is obviously just looking at a couple of things. I have about 40, 45 minutes to be able to spend with you with regards to this particular session. This session we are going to record. So you're again going to get a copy of this recording from us because there are lots of things that we will cover. And the idea would be to, if you need to revisit or go through some of the bits that I'm discussing today, then the recording is available for you to be able to do so.
Okay.
Now, first of all, quick apologies. I think this is the first ever time OTHM has done, or as a typo has happened at their end, when they've enrolled you onto a level 6 course. We know that we have had maybe 1,000 students plus who have studied the qualification with us, level 7 strategic management. But this is the first ever time that they have maybe made that mistake.
They sent the correct one a few minutes back. So
all right.
Okay, it's fine. No worries. Thanks so much.
That's really helpful because I'm very particular. One of my colleagues who does registration, she's very particular. So she writes the name. Most centers, what they'll do is just make an Excel file and send it. But we write the name outside, we write the qualification, we write the code, everything. But I don't know what happened.
That's fine.
But I hope, and that's very good that it's been rectified. And now, and from our side, we're always clear that you're doing the level 7 diploma with us.
Yes. Thanks so much.
And so we are going to do most of the bits around that only. Now, so obviously, thank you very much for considering us and choosing us over other providers. I really appreciate that because I know there were a bit of discussions, but we are happy to gain you as a learner who's going to obviously do this course with us. So thank you, and obviously welcome to UK Versity. Now,
thanks so much.
The bits that we are going to start off with is I'm going to be doing a systems demo first, very quickly, to give you the inside out of the things that you might want to refer to at any given stage, and they would be useful because for the duration you are studying with us, you'll have access to these, and they will provide you some form of information in one shape or the other.
Okay.
Then I'm also going to virtually introduce the team. There are 6 people who are in the administration, and you're able to get in touch with us anytime, Monday to Sunday, who are all based in Manchester. I've got one of my colleagues, Aman, who's in the office right now. I have Jill, she's one of the course coordinators. Grace, she's the IT administrator. And then I have Gartha, who's the student coordinator. And Amrita, she's the registrar, and she looks after assessments and other bits. So you'll get to meet all of them virtually once at some point in time through the Zoom session. And then we have got lots of lecturers who would be teaching to you, and they will have an opportunity to meet up with you during some of the sessions. Now, I will look at introducing the team to you virtually, at least so that you know names and faces, both in administration, teaching, and assessing.
Okay.
Then we'll go into a bit of a course overview. We'll discuss some units and assignments. We will discuss a schedule. And then I will also show you the assessment and feedback process, how this thing works. Where do you submit assignments? How do you submit? How long does it take? And in some cases, in some cases, when we look at how does your diploma look like and what are the things that you need to be staying away from, because there's a lot of scrutiny around those areas. So plagiarism, use of AI, and things like that. So as long as you're able to hear me clearly and obviously see the screen, let's start off with this particular aspect of the systems demo first. And then what we will do is take it, from there. So let me open up a web browser and start by sharing that screen with you. So here we go. Now, the first thing what I would do is obviously start off with a website. The reason is because this is like a starting point for everything that you're going to study with us. Now, in terms of studying with us and going through the website, we don't call it the website, we call it the digital campus. The reason is it has over 1 million lines of code, and there are lots and lots of information that you can get when you're not able to get in touch with any of us as a human in particular. So there are certain sections of the website that I want to show you, which you are going to be interacting with and using, and that would incorporate what the systems demo is. Now, the first thing that you get to see is that there is a purple or a violet color banner, which gives you the access to pretty much everything. So if you need anything urgent, some information, academic reference, anything to do with the course or something which is bothering you, you can send us an email to admin, and that's a monitored mailbox. There are 6 people which access it. You not have that university guidelines wherein you send an email, it goes into somewhere in the rabbit hole, and then you get a response in 2-3 days. Here, you'd get an instant response in a couple of minutes. If you need to speak to somebody over the phone, this is the college switchboard, and Monday to Friday between 9 to 5, 6 or 7 of us are able to access, and you'll be able to speak to us. We're also going to add you to the WhatsApp group, which is specifically for this particular course. So for pressing announcements, codes for meetings, and assignment discussion sessions, recording that we normally do for sessions, these would be posted back onto the group. And obviously, the idea is to keep a bit of interaction and engagement going with some of the other learners who are also studying the qualification. And there are tutors on that group, there are moderators on that group, course coordinators on that group, and students on that group. This is strictly a group for primarily communication on course-related matters. Maybe sometimes learners themselves share a case study or an article or something like that, and that's to get this going. But we restrict and kind of request our learners. They're all adult, mature learners over the age of 35. So they have kids, families, so they don't use WhatsApp for the uses of WhatsApp or jokes, but it's strictly professional from that aspect. Now, the second bit which I want to do is quickly show you the operations team, people that you would get to meet and see at any given point in time. This is not the case with any other provider that you look at, because they are not colleges. They are just, overnight operators. And the reason we say it is that I have personally been in this field in higher education since 2009. And the way we want to work with transparency. We want to work with honesty. And that is what we are known for in the market. So all the team is based in the UK. They're all based more or less in Manchester, with 1 or 2 lecturers in Bradford and Leicester. But you'll get to meet most of the team when you're essentially, studying the course with us. Now, a couple of people quite important in terms that you would probably get to hear from them, see them. That's me here. That's my colleague, Amrita. She's the registrar. So she looks after your registration and final certification. Open is the financial controller. Him, along with his team, ATHE, would maybe give you sometimes a subtle reminder on the email to say your next installment is due. But beyond that, maybe there'll be very little interface as far as that is concerned. The key set of people are here who would be primarily you'll be hearing from. So Heta, Aman, Jill, Gartha, and Grace. And we've got a IT chatbot called David Law, who would be somebody giving you answers if you're not able to see somebody human at any given point in time. So Jill is the course coordinator. She looks after sending you session invites which are related to sessions or tutorials that you will attend with different lecturers. Gartha is the student support officer, so she will call you every once in a fortnight and you can discuss anything with her, anything which is bothering you, troubling you, lectures not happening on time, or you're not happy with the lecture, or if the resources are not there. She would be the person who picks up the problem and then internally finds the person to resolve it there and then. And she will call you once in a fortnight to keep a tab on your progress and check. Grace, she looks after a bit of IT and marketing, wherein she looks after the Moodle platform, which I'm going to give you a demo of, and anything related to resources, books, recorded lectures, presentations. She keeps them up to date. She gets them from me or the lecturers and will make sure that everything is accessible. If you do miss out on any, you can put out a quick, message on the WhatsApp group. But in some cases, if you need something additional, you can write an email and she would respond back to you straight away. Aman, I've got him on the induction because he's the one who basically looks after maybe managing your overall progress on the course. So things which related to your completions, assessments, any delays which is happening, or if something comes up, then he's the person who you would primarily get in touch with, and he would then put things in place.
And as Raman told before, we are the administrative team, and as you have told on the top of the website, you must have seen the switchboard phone number, correct? So you can always dial that 9 to 5, and we will be able to assist you. And definitely, we'll be in touch with you on a weekly basis then.
Okay.
Now, in terms of lecturing and the teaching team, we have Reena. She's the lead assessor. So she normally does assessments of assignments that you submit. Now, OTHM's qualification are not graded right now. They are only a pass, and you would need to achieve a pass. We will obviously not let you fail. So it's guaranteed in a way that the feedback that we provide when we mark your assignments essentially via the assessment process would ensure that you're able to, not look at resubmission. It's the first one that you submit, you should be able to achieve because our lectures are quite detailed. But if sometimes there are bits and pieces to be added, you would get that feedback from her and you're able to make amends on those assignments to be able to achieve them. Now, the lecturers on this particular course include Anjum, Shazia, Yasir, myself, and one of my colleagues, Sanjay. He works for Ernst & Young. He's a part-time lecturer with us, so he's not on the website because he's part-time and he's not full-time. Now, there are people on the website, obviously, that you get to see, but they teach different units. But at some stage, your work is also looked after by the quality manager, and that work is basically quality check to ensure that the marking is okay, the work is meeting the criteria, so that when we put it forward for certification, there is no question raised at all from the awarding body, and certification is a very smooth and a sailing process. So that is normally done by Phil and to a certain extent by Shazia. So these are the two lead IQAs that we have, and they look after the assessments and the processes to ensure that the work is meeting the criteria. Now, one of the other things which I want to briefly show, you've not had any problems getting onto Zoom. So every time we do a lecture, we do a session like this, you're going to get an invite from one of my colleagues, Jill, which I mentioned earlier. And when she sends the invite, you don't need to have any subscription or any account in particular. All you would do is primarily just click on that link, and that would allow you to join the session for that particular course. And just to give you an example, these session invites are normally sent out for the unit. So the invites would go across to the lecturers and obviously students. I'm just showing one in particular. They will mention what days the lectures are happening, what time the lectures are happening, who's the tutor for that unit, and then obviously how many lectures are there going to be there for the unit. Because we don't teach the whole unit in one go. We will teach the unit basis the number of learning outcomes, and each unit generally has 4 or 5 learning outcomes. So lectures typically tend to be 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 lectures, because we do one additional lecture to discuss the assignment discussion or what is required to be put into the assignment, how do you go about doing the assignment, even show you a sample and share a sample with you, so that for some of us, let's not get me wrong, but for some of us, it's back to school after a number of years. And in some cases, it's good to visually see something of how the output would be like to be able to do it. So in such cases, those will be available from the system. Now, the link tends to be consistent for that particular lecture. So one link, easy to remember, easy to have. This is something that we cut and paste also on the WhatsApp group, so that you are able to join the lectures effectively. Now, one of the things which I'll also mention here is that the reason why we hold these live lectures is that it provides interactivity and engagement with the lecturer and discussion on the subject area. We have over 10,000 lectures. We don't need to do these lectures at all, to be honest. OTHM's qualification from 2017 has remained the same. They've updated bits of it. We have updated our slides. We have updated the lectures. But if learners do not attend, then there is no point in us in doing those lectures. Simply because it's like me talking to a PC on my own for a half an hour, 45 minutes, which is not a good experience. So if sometimes you're not able to join, then the basic courtesy and professionalism that we will expect is that you place it on the group, in this group, to say, okay, I won't be able to join the lecture today because of commitment or whatever. And that would inform the lecturer, okay, whether he needs to do it. If there are other learners joining, they would do it. If not, then others would get a copy of the recording, because all the lectures are recorded. So if anybody misses one out, what we are going to do is make sure the recording is posted on the WhatsApp group. It is posted on Moodle, and you're able to watch and go through that recording at your own pace. Now, on the website, the other bit which I want to just briefly mention is, if you scroll down to the bottom, you see the social media, and if I click on the YouTube icon, it opens and takes you to our YouTube channel. Now, when I look at that particular channel, the idea of sharing that with you is, for the duration that you're going to study with us, you can subscribe to the channel, because when we upload a new lecture, you get an alert. And because we teach a lot of courses, it'll be best to find your course or unit related lectures in the playlist. And there are 166 courses across 12 subject areas that we teach. So in such cases, the idea is to go to your playlist and then find strategic management as a playlist, and that would have all the lectures related to the course that you're studying with us. So there are in excess of 327 videos. They are all labeled nicely with the name of the units that you're going to study. And sometimes it's easier to access a lecture outside the system from YouTube, simply because of the fact that, you don't need to log in, click a number of clicks, and then go to the lecture. So they are also available here. And I think one of the other reasons that we upload it here is because it's a free repository. And the second and the last most important reason is, education is a noble cause. our tagline is education empowers lives. So there are lots of people who are not fortunate enough to study. And if they do want to study from our lectures, then they are put out in the open for them to be able to look at and obviously study from there. So those are the bits that I want to mention primarily on the website. Now, one last demo that I want to look at with regards to the website is that the link to the learner management system is also accessible from the website. So when you click on this LMS login link, you'd be able to log into the learner management system, and that would take you to the system from which you are able to access most of the teaching and learning material. Now, I know that Andy would have sent across the link to you, so I'm just wanting to make sure which particular link has been sent across to you. Have you managed to log in?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so if you managed to log in, are you on this particular system, or are you?
Sorry. No. Sorry.
Are you on this system or this system? Let me have a look at my end as well. Sorry. Because we have lots of courses, so we've got two different systems on which, essentially learners are given access. But obviously you'll have one of them simply because of the fact that there are lots of courses, and what we've done is divided the load across the systems, and some courses are on some and some on the other. So let me have a quick look on your email to see what logins has he sent you. Are you sure? Have you been given login to the system on the?
That's why I'm checking. It seems.
Right. Okay. No worries. I'll also check at my end. So to the best of my knowledge, I can't see any email which has been sent.
Yes, me too.
So I don't know in terms of whether I can see anything, but let me create the logins for you now, because I'll be able to see whether he has sent across them to you. So let me just have a quick look. No. So let me send you a quick email right now and get you on board so that you have the logins to the system as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to create the login with your personal email.
Okay.
So I'll send you this email now with the logins and the username, and you should be able to get onto the system pretty much straight away. So your username is always going to be in small letters, and the password is system generated. It is something which you will probably see when you receive it, that this is going to be case sensitive. So when you put that on, you should be able to get onto the system and the login on the system. So I've just send that email to you now. You should have it any second. Now, what I'm going to also do is, so this was the button which I was mentioning. So when you click on this button, it takes you into the system, and obviously you're able to log in. So how do I start from the beginning in terms of login? What will happen essentially is that when you get that particular username and password, you put your usernames are always in small letters, and the passwords are case sensitive. So when you put them in here and click on this greater than arrow, you should be able to log into the system. And when you're logged into the system, what it will do is basically take you to the home page, and next to the home page you'll have a dashboard which will primarily show you the calendar, and then you click on my courses. It will show you the course that you're enrolled in. Now, because I see so many courses because I've logged in as an administrator, but on your side you'd primarily see just the one course, which is the level 7 diploma in strategic management and leadership. Now, the other way of navigating into the course would be, because your awarding body is OTHM. So what we've done is created a small navigation on the top, And when you scroll down, you choose the level 7 strategic management and leadership program. And when you're in this particular screen, there is a way to look at a snapshot by clicking on this button here, collapse all, and then this bit here, which is primarily going to be again, just collapsing all the units so that I'll be able to show you a quick demo of how the material is organized across unit. Now, this shows you a snapshot of the course itself and the course content itself, but we'll go into details of it from a demo perspective. So there is a journal section on the course which we want to take.
I'm not able to log in. I use my name.
Yes.
Only Osama, right?
Yeah, only Osama, yes.
And the password.
The password I've sent to you, I won't
think it is.
say it loud because that is something which is your password. So it is case sensitive. You have to put as it is come. So if it's M is capital with the special character and then
I think it copy paste, but it's not. I can't log in.
You can't. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me have a quick look. Let me have a look. 1 second. So if you try now,
Right, now yes.
okay. So once you're in, you'd probably go by default to the dashboard where it shows you the calendar, and on the top you'll see my courses.
Yes.
Start, then go to OTHM, and then it's the third course. So when you're in, what you see is a bit of a snapshot. Now, what we'll do is discuss some parts of it, but I will just give you a quick demo in terms of how the course material is arranged for you to study. Now, what we are going to look at is the journal section. The journal section has basic details about the course, things like the course handbook. It has bits and pieces like command verb, what makes a good assignment, how to format your essay, Harvard referencing. There is an assignment front cover sheet which you would need to fill in every time you submit your assignment, and then obviously assignment submission guidelines. This bit we'll go into in a bit of detail shortly. Now, there are 6 units that you're going to study in your course. The reason you see so many of them is because there are 4 mandatory units and there are some optional units from which you need to choose 2. So in most cases, when people do MBA, as I mentioned earlier, they choose strategic marketing, or they choose, say, for example, strategic financial management. And in some cases, they also choose entrepreneurship. So some of these units that you are deciding to study would be then available to you, because when you click on some of these units might be blank because we haven't decided which units you're going to study right now from a point of view of completing the course. Now, there are units that you have to mandatorily study, and they are all populated and they'll have all the course content in it. How is the course content organized in all the units? So if I collapse all the units here and look at the navigation on the left, assuming I want to study the strategic human resources unit first, I click on that unit, and what you're going to see is a lot of different documents which will appear on the right-hand side. Now, the first document always tends to be what is called the unit specification. The second document also tends to be, an assignment brief or a document related to the qualification. And after that, you have recommended books, which are recommended by the awarding body to study that particular, I would say, the unit. And then in some cases, we have created some handouts, and these handouts, along with a sampler assignment for you to look at how does an assignment look like, would be there, along with the, bits that we cannot cover sometimes in presentations. And these handouts and articles, case studies, we do provide, which are specific to helping you to study the content of the unit. Now, more or less for every unit, you'll have 2 or 3 ebooks available. You'll have case studies and articles available, but they are predominantly additional reading. And what I've done is, to show you an example, I've opened them up on a different tab. But when you click on a PDF document, it will always open up on the screen. So this is a unit specification that we've taken out from the course handbook, and it is uploaded in individual units as per their name. And this tells the lecturers what is to be taught in that unit, how many learning outcomes are there, how many lectures are going to happen, and, in general, what is the content that we need to teach you in the units. So this content is then used to make presentations and handouts and details that you would be learning from by studying this particular unit. Now, if I look at, say, for example, certain versions of it, these are books which are recommended in the unit specifications. If I scroll down, what you're going to see is there are some core reading books which have been recommended and some optional books. So what we've done is, because we've delivered this course over 200 times in the last 10 years, we have shortlisted the books which are most related to the content which they are asking you to cover. So it'll be easy for us to recommend additional reading to you by asking you to read certain chapters of the book. They will be useful also for you specifically when you do the assignment, because we don't want you to get stuff from Google. For avoiding plagiarism and similarity, the idea would be to try and refer to books, handouts, and case studies that we have provided, which would mean that you can read, paraphrase, use some of the examples, and that would reduce plagiarism. So there are 2 or 3 books that you are generally going to see which will be available, and they would be the recommended books that you need to study, for this qualification. Now, these are traditional academic books, 300, 400, 500 pages long. We don't expect you to study the entire book because the entire book might be not very relevant to the indicative content. But during the lectures, we'll also tell you very clearly what areas or chapters or pages you have to look at for some sort of detailing of what we have covered in the presentations. Now, along with that, you'll have a sample hour assignment, which is to say, when you complete this unit, you submit an assignment. This is how an assignment should look like. This is how your assignment would be in terms of evidence that you produce, write-up that you produce, and that will be shown here. There are some other related handouts that we will include, which will include maybe research articles, case studies, and they would be additional reading should you wish to do so. And they would also be available in the journal area of study under the unit. Is that okay?
Okay.
So material-wise, I don't think you would have any, from what we know from past background and feedback, we have ensured that we have extensive resources for each of the units that we want to teach. These are taught by people who have years of experience of teaching these units, and you won't need to go and find material elsewhere or go and look for material elsewhere when you're actually studying the course with us. Now, what I also want to primarily mention here, just very briefly, is that when you look at going through the additional reading and bits and pieces related to, the presentations, what will happen is after the journal part of the documents are available, you generally see there will be lectures which will be uploaded. These lectures can be played within the system, right? And each of these lectures would also have what is called detailed learning outcome presentations. So these presentation slides are slides that we use to discuss in sessions like these that I'm having with you now. And they would be quite detailed because they would give you 85 to 90% of the knowledge required to be covered in that unit. They've been extensively created over the years. We keep updating them, and to ensure that they are meeting the requirements of the learning outcomes, these slides, would have a lot of material on it. Now, when we have these lectures, we discuss these models. We discuss the slides, but we are not reading from the slide, because what we will do is, as a lecturer, I've been teaching HRM for last 15 years. I have lots of knowledge on this. I'll be able to share which model to be applied, how to be applied, what are the practical implications of it, and in some cases, look at examples and applications that you would be getting an idea of from the experienced lecturer. Now, once the overarching discussion on the learning outcome has been done, we'll go into individual assessment criteria, because what we want to address at some stage is, if you're doing a lecture for learning outcome 1, we want to also give you some idea in terms of what is to be discussed in these areas. So each of the assessment criteria would also be covered in detail within the presentation, right? And there will be examples, or in some cases, bits and pieces that we will share with you, and they would be related to the, content of the unit. So the slides are quite detailed, and the slides would cover the indicative content in quite amount of detail as well. Now, sometimes we will have certain articles or certain things that we cannot cover in the slide for additional reading, and they would generally be mentioned towards the last of the slide, and that would cover some additional reading. For example, in cases which we will tell you that, okay, we've covered most of the bits, but to further study, please go into some of the additional reading that is referred to in the last of the slide. So each of the presentation slides are decided on the basis of the number of learning outcomes in that unit. Right? So if this unit, for example, has 5 learning outcomes, you have 5 learning outcome slides, you have 5 recorded lectures, you have books available, 3 books at least for this unit as per the recommended books which have been asked by the awarding body. You'll have some handouts, case studies, and articles that we provide for additional reading. And there will be a 6th session that you will see after this, which will be an assignment discussion session to discuss with you how to put together the assignment for this particular unit, right? And that will be kind of debriefing you on what the scenario is, why do we need to do this, or what task needs to be done, how much is too much to write, how much is too little, and those kind of things would be actually covered in the assignment discussion session. Now, this is how the material is going to be arranged in all the units. Now, if I look at a particular unit like strategic management, and if I click on it, again, what you're going to see essentially is there'll be recorded lectures, there'll be books and presentations, which primarily you would see on that section, which is in the initial part, and then recorded lectures, presentations towards the end, assignment discussion session, and that would be how the layout of the learning material is. Now, as we start to teach, this bit also starts to expand. And sometimes when we put documents down with the numbering, would mean that this is a specific handout for an assessment criteria 2.1 of the unit, because this would mean it's a Word document or it's a document that we want you to download, customize it, and then use it for the purposes of writing your own assignment. So things like, there are lots of theoretical models sometimes, and we have to give you these templates. So in such cases, what you're going to see is essentially these templates labeled as, a particular task. So for example, we need to do a force field analysis, which is normally in learning outcome 5 of this unit. So what we've done is given you a handout to understand that. There is obviously a template available so that you can use it for the purposes of doing the assignment. And in some cases, when we have different types of theoretical tools that you have to refer to with case studies, they will also be provided so that you are able to extract information from here and then use them for your assignment. So teaching material wise, I would say as the course director, I'm very confident that you'd probably enjoy learning with us, because there's plenty of material available to be able to read. And this is not just any material, let me be honest, it is the most up-to-date that we keep refreshing every 12 weeks, because we teach this course every 3 months. And there are learners joining at any point in time, and they would start the course, lectures would be updated. And if you need to look at the most up-to-date lectures, you can also refer to YouTube as well. Is that okay?
Okay.
Good stuff. So that helps me cover the first part in a great amount of detail, just to refer to this. So things like system demo, virtually who the team is, the administration, and in some cases, the teaching and assessing team. So it is easy to write to them. Now, one point which I'll make here is that if you have to write to anybody in UK Versity, it is always the first name followed by the email address. It's that simple to remember. So if you need to write to me, it's Raman. If you need to write to Amandeep, it's Aman, Jill, Grace, Gartha, Amrita. And if I go on to the lecturers, although you can write to all of them in individual names, simply because it's the first name followed by the email address. But for lecturing team, we have a shared mailbox, and that is learnerwork@ukversity.co.uk. Because we are a team of 22 lecturers, we teach a lot of different units. So sometimes it's easier for us to access one email. If I teach one unit in logistics or one in HRM and a couple of units in management, then it's easy for me to just refer to one mailbox and be able to respond to learners very quickly and effectively. So in my case, if I have any questions related to, for example, course, unit, and any queries or doubts related to anything that I'm studying, then I would probably write that email to learner work as against individual emails. Simply because of the fact that most lecturers would respond to you, but they would get to that email maybe in an hour, 2 hour, half a day, or a day. And in such cases, maybe having this email bookmarked on your side as a VIP address or something like that would make it easier for us to communicate quickly on some of the queries that you have related to when you start studying. Now, the second bit that I want to go across to very briefly is the course overview. So if I switch you back to the Moodle, and let's look at the course overview. So the course overview section is in the journal area. So when I click on this journal tab, it'll show me a number of documents that I want to go through today with regards to just highlighting that these are the bits that you need to be aware of as far as the course is concerned. So when I look at some of the documents, the first one that I want to show you is the course handbook. Then I want to show you some other documents which are related to, I would say, important documents like assignment submission guideline, Harvard referencing, and then a front cover sheet and command verbs. Rest of the other documents, I would say, are optional, and those are bits that I'm pretty sure as a professional you are aware of, but they are there just in case if you need them. Now, if I click on this document, that'll open up. That is the course handbook, which is provided by OTHM. It's about 66 pages. But if you ask me, you have to look at 4 or 5 key pages that you need to be aware of. Rest of the documents we've taken out from the book and they have been uploaded in individual units. Now, OTHM as a qualification has been going from 2003. They were initially Office of the Tourism and Hospitality Management. That was the short form of OTHM. But over the years, they have started to offer qualification in 15 different subject areas: engineering, project management, law, healthcare, teaching and learning. They have psychology, clinical studies, lots of different health and safety, stuff like that. So now it has become a name which is OTHM qualifications. So if you want to familiarize yourself with the awarding body, the objective of the qualification, maybe a couple of pages from page 3 to 7 is what you need to go through to familiarize yourself. Now, the course that's the name of the course. That's the course qualification number on off call. It has been recently refreshed and it is a 1-year academic course, 120 credits. It's not graded as a qualification, it's pass and fail. And obviously, there are assignments to be done. There are no exams in this qualification. Now, in the qualification structure, there are 6 units. Each of the units have 20 credits. So you're expected to complete the diploma by studying 6 units. That will give you 120 credits. And that would mean that you'd be able to achieve the diploma in strategic management and leadership. Now, 4 units are mandatory, which is strategic management, leadership, HRM, and research methods. There are 2 optional units that you need to pick up. And that is something that you can decide in terms of what units you're wanting to study, because sometimes depending on your interests, your background, and what your work requirement is, you could choose those units to be able to study that with us. Now, generally for the MBA students, if you look at most units they pick up is strategic financial management, strategic marketing, and in some cases, entrepreneurship and innovation. But all the units you can study and they should be fine as far as MBA top-up is concerned. Because for OTHM qualifications, the universities that we work with, most of these units, until somebody is in supply chain and logistics, they won't pick up this particular unit. Or if they are towards finance, they would not pick up, probably they will pick up globalization and corporate governance. If people are working as change consultants, project management consultants, they'll pick up change management as a unit and probably strategic marketing. So you can decide and let us know which units you are going to study, and Jill will then put together the schedule around it, and we will ensure that on the Moodle, these units are available for you to be able to study. Is that okay?
Okay.
Now, entry requirements you met, progression leads to an MBA, very clear, because this is a strategic management qualification. One of the things that you have to look at is, with the beauty of OTHM qualifications, is that they have a lot of different level 7 programs. So when we look at different programs, the reason why they've created different programs is because most learners want to do the qualification and do a top-up degree. So if you were to look at a different top-up degree, for example, sometimes learners say, I want to do HRM, then I will ask you to do a level 7 diploma in HRM. If you want to go towards MSc in Accounting and Finance, I would ask you to do an Accounting and Finance diploma. If you want to do marketing, MSc in Strategic Marketing, then I'll say Strategic Marketing. So you have to be very clear, and we have got 5 days to be able to decide and ask OTHM to amend your registration should you wish to go towards a particular degree. Now, 90% of the students will typically do MBA, and because it is the most sought after and required qualification, so you are on the right program. And just to be sure that when you complete this particular qualification, Strategic Management and Leadership, it will not allow you to go towards MSc Project Management or MSc Accounting and Finance or MA HRM, because the modules are going to be different. So that is why this decision criteria is very important, because your progression is linked to the unit and the units that you're studying in the program. If you do project management, it has 5 units. You might get accepted into an MBA program, but they would say, okay, we'll only give you 30 credits exemption, rest 150 you have to study, which means more cost, more assignments, and obviously more longer duration. Now, there are no exams, as I mentioned, only assignments. But what you have to keep in mind is that when you do submit assignments, these assignments are assessed. You have one opportunity for resubmission. Our feedback to you on the assignment is very, very detailed, and I will give you an example so that you're able to achieve it in the first instance if a resubmission is asked for. Not that you would need to resubmit, because we are confident on our teaching methods and we are confident on the material that we have and the comprehensive nature of the course that we teach and deliver. That should allow you to submit everything and achieve everything in the first instance. But sometimes if we do find learners are struggling in the first unit, then the feedback tends to be a bit more critical, because that allows you to follow through that feedback across the balance units that you're going to complete. And the idea there is to give you directive feedback. We don't want to work like university, wherein it'll happen is, okay, the assignment is marked, but you have failed the assignment. Why have I failed? Then you have a discussion. Then they go into other things. No, we'll cut that discussion in terms of, that chit chat of 6-7 emails, and we'll say, okay, this is fine, this is okay, this is good, but this bit needs a bit of elaboration. You need to add an example. You need to show a theoretical framework, or in some cases, we'll give you a link or a website to say, okay, read this, and that is what needs to be applied here. And that should allow you to achieve the unit. It's going to be that process that will follow. We don't want the back and forth to happen. And sometimes it's easier to have a conversation with you on the phone and on the Zoom meeting like this. So if we feel that we need to have that, the tutor will pick up and set up a time with you and then do that discussion to get it going, to get it completed. Now, the rest of the bits that you look at in the qualification, we've extracted out and they have been put into the respective units that you are seeing. But it's a good way for you to go through and see the overview of the unit, the content involved, if you want to do a bit of bedside reading with the course handbook. Is that okay? Any questions on this?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Now, the other bit which I want to very briefly mention is assignment submission guidelines. And here is what I'm going to do is show a video. The reason I would do that is primarily because of the fact that when you do submit assignments, there are certain requirements which awarding bodies have. So me explaining and talking 5 minutes about it, I'm going to show you a 30-second video, and that would essentially tell you what the requirements are. Now, in your qualification, you might need to ignore the bit which is there is no grading. So when you send an email with the assignment, what you need to do is make sure that you're sending an email with the cover sheet and the requested evidence, whether it's a PowerPoint presentation or a Word document, so that it can be marked and we are able to put comments on it. So if you watch that video, and I'll show you an exact assignment and how that process works.
Hi, I am Gerta, and I am one of the student administrators at UK Versity. Today, I will share some tips with you on the assignment submission guidelines. 1. Read the assignment brief carefully. 2. Make a cover page and draw up a table of content. 3. Copy the tasks from the assignment brief as it is into your Word document. 4. Pay emphasis on command verbs, as you will need to provide theoretical framework. Examples in some cases. 5. Proofread the assignment prior to submitting it. 6. Mention the grade you want to achieve in the email while submitting the assignment. 7. All assignments are submitted on email to learnerwork@ukversity.co.uk. Thank you. Hi.
So that's the bit on the assignment submission. Now, If I now share my screen and show you a couple of documents in terms of how this process works and what is expected from the learners in this particular process, you're going to see a big screen. And obviously, there are 4 documents that I want to take you through and show you how that works. Now, essentially, what will happen at some stages when you do submit the assignment, you're going to submit the assignment on email to us. That email will ensure that just like you in the universities, you get a receipt of acknowledgement to say your work has been received. Once the work has been received, it takes about 1 or 2 days for us to mark and feedback on the assignment. And because the assignment is only a pass, so it makes it easier for the assessor, unlike other qualifications wherein it is graded, to ensure that, the work that we have to give you feedback on is to help you achieve that pass grade. Now, when the assignment is submitted, we also do 2 things. There are 2 parts to the team. One part is the administration part and one is the assessing part. The administration part will look at originality and plagiarism and the use of AI. And the assessing part will essentially look at checking the quality of the work and the assessment criteria which are required to be met in the assignment. So when I look at you submitting the assignment, the administration part would actually do this bit, which is to look at, the first document on the left would actually check, because this is now a mandatory thing that we have to do as per awarding body guidelines. ChatGPT and a lot of other softwares allow you to create content. So what we need to check is whether the assignment is written by human or it is written by software. So every time you submit something, it is going to be scanned for that aspect. And if we do find that it is written by human, what will happen is you'll get a copy of this report back on your email. And this report towards the end of the page, obviously all the highlighted bit shows that these are bits which are written by AI. But at the end of the page of this report will show you a writing editor. When you click on it, you'll be allowed to create an account for 14 days. And when you are in that editor, it'll ask you to start paraphrasing the bits which are in yellow. That means the bits which have been copied or generated through AI, but you have not referenced it or written in your own words. And you'd be able to write that in the editor itself. And that editor, when you submit the document, will send us an email, and that will show how this similarity or written by AI has been reduced. Now, the second report that we do is basically plagiarism scan to see similarity. This is AI and this is similarity. So as long as the similarity is less than 20%, also the AI content is less than 20%, the assignment would be okay. You would not get any reports. That will be actually saying you're meeting the guidelines, absolutely fine. And that would be the end of it. The administrators will file the report in the folder. And once the external certification happens, these reports will become a part of your verification with the examiner. Now, when you do submit the assignments have a cover sheet. This is provided as a Word document. So you can fill it once and then obviously, just write the word count, date on which you're submitting, and then signature, electronic, oblique, otherwise. And that would basically say that you're agreeing to the authentication, originality, collusion, plagiarism policy. Now, after this is your assignment. And this is one particular unit that I'm just showing an example, which is for research methods. And this is what the learner has actually submitted. It's a proposal required in the assignment, and the learner has submitted the proposal. What we've done is we marked the proposal. The assessor has actually put some comments in to say why the proposal meets the guideline, why the proposal meets the requirement of the assignment brief. And this commenting continues throughout the assignment to ensure that the work is hitting and meeting the criteria of the awarding body. Now, this is where this side of commenting you'll be only able to see on a laptop or Mac, but not on a mobile phone or a tablet, because the screen is small, and what you'll essentially see is the speech bubbles. You'll not see the commenting which is on this side. Now, if we do find the bits and pieces are missing, then in such cases, the commenting will highlight that you need to elaborate or make changes, and that would be something that you will get the document back. This will be a working document that will go back and forth on learner work at UK Versity between you and the tutor till it is finalized and it meets the criteria. Now, this happens only once. We don't engage in a process wherein we feel that, it's going back and forth 3-4 times. That means maybe the lecturer is teaching here and the learner's requirement is here, or they are on 2 different planes, and that is where the mismatch is happening. So what we'll do is after the first submission, if we feel there's a lot of gap, we are going to straight away do a Zoom session with you and guide you how to do it. And if there is a small enough gap that can be fed across on the email, we'll give you feedback on it so that you are able to change and submit for the purposes of achievement.
Okay.
Now, once this is done, you get this particular assessment sheet, which is signed off, which says why you have achieved and how you have achieved. And this is your record to say the unit has been achieved. And this is what would be put forward towards certification when you complete the full units across the course.
Okay.
So how would the assignment submission happen? You submit it on email, you get a receipt. Administration team looks at plagiarism and AI, and the assessing team looks at assessing your work. And that work, once it's assessed, you get the annotated document back along with the cover sheet to say, this is now, this unit is achieved, and you're free to go, and you're moving now to the next unit for the purposes of study.
Okay.
Okay, good stuff. Any questions on this process?
No, thanks so much.
Good stuff. So a small presentation slide that we've got, 6 slides to just refresh that process. And at some stage you will need it later is actually given here on Moodle for you to go through.
Okay.
So do's and don'ts, best practices, stuff like that. And then in the UK education system, there are 2 or 3 different methods of referencing, but we follow what is called Harvard referencing system. There's a presentation here to help you refresh that. So it's an author date style, referencing system. This would allow you to understand how referencing is to be done. And in such cases, you can just go through this presentation to refresh the methods of referencing. So it can be paraphrasing, referencing, direct quotes, 1 author, 2 author, and obviously it'll take you through that. The cover sheet is given here for the assignment. Then sometimes we have learners who ask us what is the word limit and how much is to be written. This is something which is dependent on the command verbs. The tasks which are set have certain words. So if you have certain words like explain, describe, define, you probably need to write 50 to 75 words. But if you have analyze, compare, or contrast, or assess, you probably need to build arguments, give theory, and in that case, it will require 125 to 150 words per task. And when you look at evaluation or critically evaluate, in such cases, you have to write a bit more because you have to look at decision-making process as well. So these words have definitions, and what we've done is defined it in this particular document. Now, last but not the least, there are bits and pieces that we would expect that you go through at some stage when you start doing the assignments. And this is going to be picked up by the lecturers in the assignment discussion session. I won't want to take you into any further details on this.
Okay.
Is that okay? So let's go back to the agenda, and that helps us put the bits in context in terms of what we've discussed. And so a bit of the overview right now, how many units and assignments, assessment and feedback process, how to submit, and how long does it take, and then obviously things that you need to stay away from, which have been mentioned. Now, have you been given any lecture timings in terms of when they happen, and what are the best times that you would be able to attend lectures? What are the best days and times, if I may ask?
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday. Okay, that's great. So on Saturday and Sunday, what we do is we do these lectures at 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Okay.
Get them out of the way early morning so that you have the rest of the day to yourself. Normally, there are 2 lectures every week, and they tend to be on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll get the schedule across to you for the first unit today after the session, so that you're able to start studying with us from tomorrow.
Okay.
Is that okay? Now, that helps us cover pretty much everything that I wanted to do in the onboarding process with you. So are there any questions that you have at this stage?
No, I think it's fine.
Good stuff.
1 minute.
Good stuff.
The concrete's here, report. Supposed to be doing.
Yes, I will be there before 1. I will be there. I will go and give me 10 minutes. I'll go.
Okay, it's
35.
35 minutes.
Yes, I will go. No, okay. No.
Good stuff. So what I'll do is I'll end this session here now, and I'll send you a copy of the recording, and I'll ensure Jill sends you the schedule so that you're on board tomorrow to attend lectures.
Okay.
Think of anything. If you have any further queries, you can always reach me, or email us or WhatsApp us, and we'll get back to you straight away.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you, Osama. Thanks for joining.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Thanks.
Thank you, Sabah. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Bye.